Yeah, too many colors. Peace. I wanted to say, got the hat yesterday. As you can see it, specially made. Kemet Ray Ma'at, which means Black Sun Justice. So I want to thank you for that. And my wife, she wanted to say something too.
My hat was specially made as well, and it means first to step out of the waters of noon. And I want to say thank you to my aunt forever. Very nice.
Our sister RP is in the place to be. What's up, sister?
Et Sin E. How you doing?
E.T. Senate E. I'm doing nefer.
Oh, great, great. Um, well, I got it today. I was thinking it was coming from France, but then I did the tracking and it was outside actually when I went to check, and here it is.
Oh, that's what's up. It's just like my hat. That's what's up.
Yeah,
Let me do the solo layout. There it is, brothers and sisters. That's
yeah.
what's up.
I really like this. Yeah, so I have an after school program that I help facilitate. And I'm going to wear this because we're going to start talking about coding. So I'm going to
Okay.
use this as an introduction because this is a code. It's
Mm.
ancient code, but it's still a code. And then we're going to be able to, demonstrate. I'll be able to demonstrate to them the meanings inside each of the, glyphs and stuff. So, but yeah, I was looking online and I was like, this is actually like really good designs. So as soon as I get some more, extra money, I'm gonna get the matching hat, and I want to get a Ma'at shirt. But I really like the Kemet one to start with. Yeah, so it's really good, and the prices ain't bad either. So
And sister Andrea Brunet is in the place to be. How you doing, Senate?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well.
So you have something to show us today?
Yes, I went on to the product line and I bought 3 shirts and I just wanted to show you all what I got.
Oh, let's see.
Okay, so this is the first one. This is the
Ah, the Ankh shirt.
the Ankh shirt. I got it in black and gold, but I think I'm gonna go and get a blue one too.
All right.
Okay, so that's the first one.
All
And
right.
then
The Ma'at. Oh, it looks
this
good in
I don't
blue.
yeah,
All
I don't know.
right.
Yeah, this is the Ma'at one.
Oh, that's
I don't
what's
know if you
up.
can see.
Yeah,
I'm
we see it. We
I'm
see
trying.
it.
Can you see it?
Nice bright
And
color.
yeah, I love this. I love this color. I love it. And then the piece de la resistance is my favorite
I'm the best to
one.
be tonight.
I'm the best to be tonight. Yeah.
That's what's up. I'm the
There's
best
that
to
on
be
the sleeve
tonight.
too.
Even on the sleeve.
Tonight.
All right.
Even on the sleeve. I had it. Yeah,
All
this
right.
is the lick right here. So I'll be wearing that on
Oh,
your next live. I will have this one on.
oh, that's
Yeah.
beautiful. All right.
So
Well,
that's the 3 ones I got.
thank you very
Love
much
them.
for your support. It's appreciated. I'm glad that you like the products.
You're welcome. You're
All
welcome.
right.
And we'll see you on the next live stream.
All right. See you soon, sister. Peace.
Okay.
Hotel.
All right.
All right. Hey, brother Donnie Williams. So you got your
Yeah,
makeup.
yeah. What's up, Shaka? I was gonna do just a. I know it's a serious topic, but I was gonna do a little
No, I appreciate that, bro. I'm
unboxing.
glad.
So
I'm glad. Yeah, yeah. Live
yeah, man.
unboxing. Bro, you don't mind if I use this excerpt, like as a clip, my
No,
intro?
no,
Oh,
it's all
thank you.
good.
Thank you. And
Yeah.
for those who wonder, I'm gonna share the link. All right, that's lovely.
Yeah, I got the Heather Gray. Oh man, yeah,
Oh, you got the
I
Kemet
didn't.
shirt as well. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know it had that on the back
In the
though.
black. Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. That's what's up,
That's
man.
lovely. Oh, thank you. I
So
appreciate that.
yeah. So just letting you know, just coming through, showing some support real quick, man. I'm about to get back into this Netflix film. So um, just wanted to say peace, man, and thanks.
Yeah, thanks a lot, brother.
Okay. All
All
right.
right. Hotep Senu Hena Senut I Tiren Ishaka Nugukemet. I hope you're doing well. The title of this live stream is NASA scientist Dr. Thomas G. Brophy, PhD in physics, said the ancient Egyptians were black. And that's something. Let me do the fair use disclaimer first of all. Actually, let me check the sound quality first of all. Hold on. Okay, sounds good on my end. Now, I know it's a bit early. It's just 12 o'clock lunchtime in New York. I have a scheduled live stream later on, so it's going to be the usual 4 p.m. EST. I ain't going to be long. I don't even think I'm going to share the link for people to get on the panel. I just want you to hear this. Now, let me do the fair use disclaimer first of all. No, that's not the one. Copyright disclaimer. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. For those who wonder, the chat is open to members only, and you do have the link to become a supporter. So, we're going to hear from this gentleman right here. I'm going to share the link in the chat. You have the link right here, okay? So he is Thomas G. Brophy. He's the president of California Institute for Human Science. He earned his PhD in physics in 1989 from the University of Colorado, Boulder, or Boulder, I'm not sure how it's pronounced. And also master's in physics in 1985 from the same place, and a bachelor's in physics in 1982 from the Colorado College. And it says here, let me make sure it's sharing. It is sharing. Holding a Bachelor of Arts with honors from the Colorado College and Master of Science, I presume that's what MS stands for, and PhD degrees in physics from the University of Colorado Boulder. Dr. Brophy's academic and scientific backgrounds include work on NASA's Voyager and Cassini spacecraft projects, and an appointment as a National Science Foundation exchange scientist at the University of Tokyo. Now, I'm going to share another link, and it is the website of NASA. Let me put this in the chat. There it is. You do have it in the chat. This is NASA's website. And here it talks about a phase-space fluid simulation of a two-component narrow planetary ring, particle size generation, edge formation, and spreading rates. And it says the Crook kinetic equation for identical planetary ring particles is presently generalized for the case of two-component systems, and the equations are numerically solved on the basis of Brophy and Esposito's 1989 phase-space CFD method. So he is credited here on the website of NASA. He is a recognized scientist, and you can see his name's here: Arthur Brophy Thomas G, Colorado University, Boulder, CO, United States. Okay, so what a coincidence. I went live earlier today, and I mentioned a cheerleader of Metatron who labeled me a fraud in his first sentence. Hence why he got out of the way, because I don't take no disrespect. Now, whoever you are, why don't you just go publicly and state that this PhD, Thomas G. Brophy, is a fraud as well? I don't think you would do that. But anyway, let's hear it. I'm going to first share the link. I'm going to share the link to the YouTube video. Demande à maman, Meroun. You have the link in the chat. Demande à maman, je t'ai dit. Je suis occupé. Demande à maman. You do have the link right there. It is hosted on this YouTube channel called New Thinking Aloud with Jeffrey Misholve. It was uploaded about 4 years ago, March 4th, 2020. It has 23,000 views. Now this channel has 160,000 subscribers. And I don't know if we will see it on the website, but on the mobile phone, there it is. See, I recognize, I thought, hey, this profile picture, this avatar looks familiar. It is our brother Divinely Inspired. 2 years ago, he left a comment, so he's aware of this. I discovered this today. It came up on my feed. So you do have the link. You can see the channel. I'm not going to play all of it, just a part of it, okay? So let's go.
Hello and welcome. I'm Jeffrey Mishlove. Today we'll be exploring the prehistoric origins in Black Africa of ancient Egyptian culture. My guest is Professor Thomas Brophy, who is the president of the California Institute of Human Science. He has authored several books on this subject, including The Origin Map, Prehistoric, Megalithic, Astrophysical Maps of the Universe, and 2 books co-authored with Robert Bauval, Black Genesis, the Prehistoric Origins of Ancient Egypt, and Imhotep the African, Architect of the Cosmos. He is also author of a wonderful book called The Mechanism Demands a Mysticism, Explorations of Spirit, Matter, and Physics. Welcome, Thomas.
Thank you. It's great to be here again.
It's a pleasure to be with you. In your exploration of this particular topic began with actual journeys into the deep, barely explored remote parts of the Sahara Desert in Egypt, some distance away from the Nile Valley.
Yes. So parallel in Egypt, parallel to the Nile, it goes north and south, and just 100 kilometers or so west of that is a sequence of oases. West of that, you have the desert, the Egyptian Sahara Desert, and that goes through south to the Central Africa, the Sahara Desert, and the region in the southwest corner of Egypt, where Egypt meets Libya and Sudan. There is a area called Jebel Wynat and Gilf Kabir, and to that region is where I went with Robert Bauval on a little expedition to study some very interesting recent finds in this very remote region. It's 4 days by 4-wheel drive Jeep from the nearest house or inhabitant of any kind. And it's an extremely remote region.
Not even dirt roads, I gather.
That's right. It doesn't rain. So there are occasionally Jeeps like ours that go there. And so there's a kind of a Jeep tracks in some places.
Mm-hmm. Now, I understand that archaeologists had assumed because the desert is so arid, I guess you said hadn't rained in thousands of years.
Yeah, that area became hyper-arid, extreme desert around 3400 BC.
Mm-hmm. But before that, the climate was different.
Yes, it was more moderate. There were seasonal rains, and at the site that I studied, the ancient site that I studied, Nabta Playa, even that would fill up seasonally as a.
Now, for purposes, I've sent the link for the people's favorite Wikipedia regarding Nabta Playa. I did not find an entry on Encyclopedia Britannica, and just so you can see quickly, Nabta Playa was once a large endorheic basin in the Nubian desert, located approximately 800 kilometers south of modern-day Cairo, or about 100 kilometers west of Abu Simbel in southern Egypt. And here you have the calendar circle. You're going to hear about that in the video. Now, it was reconstructed at the Aswan Nubian Museum. Okay, so let's go back to the main video.
The seasonal lake bed, we call it a playa. We call it playa now.
And as I understand it, you found, for example, cave paintings and rock drawings showing giraffes and other animals, jungle animals, at one time are depicted in the artwork.
Yes, there are giraffes and animals like that depicted in the rock art. And we went there to visit a beautifully painted prehistoric cave that was discovered in that region, just discovered in 2007. We went there. We were the second group to go there in 2008. We went with the discoverer of the cave. It has on the ceiling very beautiful prehistoric rock art depicting the people who lived there and their raising of cattle and various domestic scenes and that sort of thing.
We're talking about Black Africans.
Yes.
In this area.
You heard? The person who interviewed him said, "We are talking about Black Africans." He replied, "Yes." Let's go back just in case you missed it.
Yes.
In this area. As I understand it, Egyptian archaeologists and Egyptologists have largely suggested that the ancient Egyptian culture developed independently of Black Africa. That's sort of the conventional viewpoint. The ancient Egyptologists have.
And various Dominicans. Yes.
And talking about Black Africans.
Yes. Of cattle and various domestic scenes and that sort of thing.
We're talking about Black Africans.
Yes.
In this area. As I understand it, Egyptian archaeologists and Egyptologists have largely suggested that the ancient Egyptian culture developed independently of Black Africa. That's sort of the conventional viewpoint.
Yes, that's sort of the conventional view that had been followed. And recently, though, it is changing because, as you mentioned, related to the find of the rock art in that region, there was also found, actually by the same people, a hieroglyph. A hieroglyph with the cartouche, the name of a Middle Kingdom king, Egyptian pharaoh. And that really changed ideas in this regard because the area is now and has been since 3000 BC, so extreme desert. It was assumed there was no travel to that area from even dynastic times of ancient Egypt.
The commerce would have been impossible.
Right.
Because of the climate, but now the hieroglyphic discoveries show that Egyptians were able to travel that far themselves.
Yes.
Now you approach this as an astrophysicist. That's your background. You worked for NASA, as I recall, on the Voyager 2 project.
That's right. Yeah.
He worked for NASA. It
was wonderful working with the team I did my doctoral dissertation with. Had an instrument on board the Voyager 2. And it was a wonderful project.
So at one.
And when he did his doctoral dissertation, he worked with a team dealing with a NASA project.
One of these locations you described, the Nabta Playa, which became a lake bed, filled partially during the year.
Yeah, seasonal lake.
Seasonal lake, were discovered there, and you personally went to study megalithic structures, very ancient, prehistoric, that had archaeoastronomical significance.
Yes, I went there to study them and measure them because the initial report had some things that didn't add up in the data of where these large stones that were reported to align with stars, as to their locations and which stars they aligned with, there were some discrepancies there. So one of the things I wanted to do was to measure the actual locations myself with the handheld GPS. Mm-hmm. And happily I was able to get there, tag along with a kind of a remote adventure travel group, just 2 Jeeps that were going through the region, and I was able to do that.
Mm-hmm. And let's talk about what you learned.
So I got the measures of the locations of these megalithic stones and studied the alignment of them with stars and how they aligned with particular stars as they moved through the precession of the equinox.
Let's define for our viewers now. Not everyone will understand the precession of the equinoxes, which is very important for archaeoastronomy.
Yes, because the Earth's spin axis, the Earth spins on its axis every 24 hours. The North Pole that the Earth spins around, it rotates, it wobbles on a cycle of about 26,000 years. So it points at a different location in the sky as it moves through that whole cycle. Mm-hmm. And that's called the precession of the equinoxes. And because of that motion, the apparent location of stars in the sky relative to Earth change over that same cycle. And that's what gives us what we call in the West the zodiac ages, like mm-hmm. the age of Aquarius and the age of Pisces.
And the age of Taurus, the age of Aries preceding. As I understand it, astrologically speaking, these ages have to do with the constellation that's on the horizon at the moment of the spring equinox.
Yes, it's the constellation that the sun is in mm-hmm. at the moment of the spring equinox. Mm-hmm. Yes.
So, and that is going to every 2,500, 2,600 years or so, that changes.
Yeah, it's constantly moving. So you just divide 26,000 by 12, and you get about 2,400 years. Mm-hmm. That the location of the apparent location of the sun moves through those different zodiac constellations.
Mm-hmm. And this was understood by, at least by the ancient Greeks, probably by the ancient Persians, but maybe the ancient Sumerians who were students of astrology. Your findings suggest, if I understand it, that the precession of the equinoxes was understood by these prehistoric people in Black Africa who created these particular megaliths, like an astronomical calendar, sometimes called the Stonehenge of the Sahara.
Yes.
People in Black Africa who created what?
Like an astronomical calendar, sometimes called the Stonehenge of the Sahara.
Yes.
Calendar, sometimes called like an astronomical calendar, sometimes megaliths, who created these particular equinoxes, was understood by these prehistoric people in Black Africa who created these particular megaliths.
This megalith.
Like an astronomical calendar, sometimes called the Stonehenge of the Sahara.
Yes, the Nabta Playa find was announced by CNN as the Stonehenge of the Sahara. And it's a fascinating site. It does have megaliths. And however, the calendar circle that got a lot of attention is composed of smaller stones that come up to about your knee, but that forms a very interesting calendar circle, which has astronomical meaning. And that calendar circle is in the complex of megalithic large stone structures and alignments as well.
Mm-hmm. Now, do we know anything at all about the people who created these structures?
Yes, we know they were Black African people. Their remains.
They were Black African people. The PhD said it.
Studied anthropologically, and they were the people inhabiting the region of the time.
Mm-hmm. I understand that they also seem to have some sort of religious cult involving the ceremonial rituals that had to do with the cow. The cow was very important to them.
Yes, the cattle cult and the Sirius and cattle iconography was very important to them, as well as in ancient Egypt, which came later, ancient Egyptian civilization. And at Nebta Playa, there were not found any graves of humans. No human kings or leaders' graves were found, but a very finely constructed grave.
Mind you, you're going to hear about migration. You're going to hear where these people migrated to, the direction of the migration. It's coming soon.
Of a cow was found.
Which is something similar to what you will find in ancient Egypt.
Yes.
Where, like the Serapeum, where there's a whole large, enormous complex with embalmed bulls.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So there are many elements, clearly, of the culture that was operating at Nebta Playa in the earlier time that moved to the Nile Valley and became the ancient Egyptian dynastic civilization.
And one of the important correlations is which you as an astrophysicist studying archaeoastronomy pay attention to, is similar alignments found in the Giza Plateau where the Great Pyramids are.
Yeah, similar astronomy, similar astronomical functioning of the monuments. Like a very clear one is, and easy to understand, is that in ancient Egypt, the new year was heralded by the heliacal rising of Sirius. Now, it's a big word, but all that means is the first sighting of the star Sirius of the year, just before sunrise. So that heliacal means rising before the sun. And so stars go through a cycle where they disappear because they're too close to the sun, you can't see them, and then they reappear just before dawn. It's called the heliacal rising. So in ancient Egypt, the heliacal rising of Sirius heralded the timing of the floods, the Nile flooding from the monsoon rains that, well, they didn't know necessarily that the monsoon rains were south and flooding the Nile, but the Nile flooded every year at about the same time, just after the heliacal rising of Sirius. So there were monuments, temples in Old Kingdom Egypt that were rebuilt to track the rising of Sirius as it moved. With their alignment of the temples was rebuilt to track the rising of Sirius as it moved through precession motion. And we found the same thing at Nebta Playa. These megalithic stone alignments, they tracked the rising of Sirius and other stars as they moved through precession. And the heliacal rising of Sirius at Nebta Playa was, it had these dual alignments where they put megalithic stone alignment towards the north that would track align with a circumpolar star We call it the Big Dipper. The ancient Egyptians call it the Bull's Thigh constellation, the stars that go around the North Pole star at the same time that the star Sirius rose in the east, the heliacal rising. And so for the ancient, the Nabta Playa people, they were clearly tracking the same stars, and probably for the same reason. Because like it was a seasonal lake, Nabta Playa was, well, these monsoon rains filled up the lake seasonally at the same time, about the same time of year. So they would have naturally wanted to track their calendar, the same events astronomically with the same stars, as we can see that they did with these large stone alignments. And then at about 3500 BC, the monsoon rains pattern moved further south. So Nabta Playa region became extreme desert and had to be abandoned. And that's when the culture, the ancient Egyptian dynastic culture that shows many of the same elements, pops up in the Nile Valley.
So you're suggesting maybe these people migrated north?
Yes, or their culture did. And
These people migrated north, or their culture did. For the record,
them. Really east to the Nile Valley. East and north.
East and north.
Yeah.
I see. So today in Egypt, the archaeologists often refer to, and I've been there, to connections between ancient Egyptian culture and the Sumerian culture and the Crete culture and the Persian culture. Yet when you visit Egypt, especially around Aswan in the southern part of the Nile, you see mostly Black people.
Yes. Yeah. And we know from the anthropological evidence that the people just predating the dynastic civilization in the Nabta Playa region were black African people.
I mean, it's a significant discovery. I would
anthropology, and he said that they migrated north.
Think because amongst other things, these Black people had a very sophisticated understanding of astronomy.
It looks like that. There's suggestions of that in the ancient site of Nabta Playa and elsewhere.
And it took a while, as I understand it, for conventional Egyptologists to acknowledge any of the archaeoastronomy, the correlations found by some of your colleagues.
Yes, like...
for the record, I was waiting for this. In my video, the one I'm the most proud of, which has 400,000 views, entitled Kemet and Ma'at for short, the title is slightly longer. You have the link here in the chat. I did show that. I did not build that, but I did show that for the record. Let's continue.
Like the Orion correlation of the Great Pyramids with the stars of Orion's belt, it's still controversial.
But you found correlations with Orion at Nabta Playa.
Yes, with the stars of Orion's belt and the Orion constellation at Nabta Playa. That's right. Yes, so there's this very clear link from the astronomy at Nabta Playa at around the time 4000 BC that the culture moved to the Nile Valley. And also Nabta Playa as a site is much more ancient as well. There's radiocarbon dating going back to around 9000 BC at Nabta Playa. And there's also astronomical evidence of astronomical alignments that go back in further in time as well. And like the calendar circle that made the site famous, it has probably represents the stars of Orion's belt at the spring equinox heliacal rising around 6000 BC. And it's a nice little diagram that demonstrates how they were seen in the sky and their location in the sky, as well as the timing with the summer solstice of them rising. Demonstrated in this calendar circle diagram that I suggest also was a sort of a teaching diagram that demonstrated the precession motion of the sky, the long-term precession motion.
Well, it's very interesting that a pre-literate culture, as far as we know, there was certainly no written language at that time, could develop advanced ideas of astronomy.
Yes. If they had this advanced knowledge, it's mysterious. You could speculate basically three basic ways that they could have gotten this knowledge. Okay, suppose they had advanced knowledge of astronomy, as there's suggestions that they might have had in the monuments. How did they get that knowledge? How did they know that? Basically three types. Some other group or beings told them or gave them the knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
or they could have had the knowledge passed down to them from a much more ancient, maybe high civilization of the past, or they could have gotten the knowledge through other types of means, like intuitive means or paranormal, parapsychological methods.
So to summarize it, maybe in more popular language, we're talking about ancient aliens on the one hand, or an ancient breakaway civilization, or remote viewing.
Yes.
Are three possibilities, and I'm sure there are advocates for each of those.
Yes. Yep. There are advocates for each of those that like to connect with my work on the ancient monuments astronomy.
Now, but you, having been a NASA scientist, didn't go down there with an agenda of any
NASA scientist, for the record.
kind, to my understanding.
No, I saw it as a puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
As a puzzle. So the first technical archaeological report of the site mentioned the alignment that these megalithic stones were probably aligned with stars, and it mentioned the data for the location of the stones. And as I said, I found there's some discrepancies there, so I was just very interested in it as a puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
So I studied the site. I went there and I studied it as a puzzle.
Mm-hmm. You weren't concerned about any of the political controversies concerning the origins of ancient Egyptian culture?
That's right.
Uh-huh.
I was not at the time concerned with that. And after I published the one book, the Origin Map, I was actually a little surprised that some of the most enthusiastic response I got was from Black African scholars. And because they saw the importance of that for connecting the ancient Egyptian civilization with Black African origins.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't even thinking of that when I studied the site, but I was happy that it came out that way.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't even thinking of that when he studied the site, but he was happy it came out that way. I don't think some people will call him Afrocentrist. But Metatron did modify his title. He changed his title. So maybe he can grow. We'll see soon.
And on the other hand, when I read the book you co-authored with Robert Bouval, Black Genesis,
yes,
he described two, you could call them academic camps, the Afrocentric and the Eurocentric camp in terms of the origin of Egyptian culture. And he said neither one is being scientific if they're arguing for a political viewpoint and just trying to muster the evidence that supports their viewpoint and ignoring the other evidence. That your interest in going there was just to look at the data and see where it led.
Yes.
His interest was just to look at the data. It's going to be finishing, a couple of minutes probably, But what are the records? I said that so many times. What are the records?
I like to follow the evidence, and to me, I thought of it as a human, ancient human project.
Yeah.
But I didn't care about which race of humans it was at the time.
But you did point out that Egyptian guidebooks that were popular had some very racist descriptions about the attitude of Egyptians toward different racial groups.
Yes, you'll see even in current guidebooks, probably a kind of a hierarchical description of the views of the races. Yes.
Mm-hmm. And so many Egyptians today who probably think of themselves primarily as Mediterranean people.
Mediterranean people. Now, Metatron. Now, he mentioned that, right? And he said something to the effect of my heritage or my culture, something like that. I'm paraphrasing, but I've documented. Let's continue. It's going to be over. I'm going to stop it. You have the link to watch the full thing.
Even though they're on the African continent, look down at the idea that a very powerful ancient culture might have emerged out of Black Africa.
Yeah, and it's clearly, obviously, a modern ethnic view or ethnic mindset that leads to that kind of thinking.
It's a modern view, but is it accurate? Is it based on data? Is it based on record? I've been sharing the records. So you can go now to V Bennett's live stream about Nature Boy's trial. I was there earlier. I came across that video and I thought it was so important to share it. You do have the link to V Bennett's live stream. And for those who wonder, tonight, you have the information. You have the link when I will go live. It's going to be 4 p.m. Okay. So I'm going to make my closing remarks. I will not play the outro. Stay safe, stay healthy. If I'm allowed to by the nature, I will definitely holler back at you. I don't argue, I state facts. If you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. If you do not think right, you will not act right. If you know better, you will do better.